Okay, good morning, millionaires. Good morning, millionaires. Give me a replay, gang, if you're watching the replay. We back in full effect. My name's Haziq Ali, and I'm a revenue acceleration expert. I'm a self-esteem development fanatic, starting with my own. And our whole goal every single morning is to help you go further, faster, with less effort. I want to give a special shout out to the LinkedIn crew. Special shout out to you if you're watching from YouTube. That's our favorite place for you to watch from. We're going to be doing some things to build the YouTube side of things real soon. And then also, if you're watching on Facebook, shouts out to you. I just want to say good morning. If you enjoyed last night's Obsessed with Success, definitely want to give you some power and some love and some gratitude and some energy this morning. We had an incredible call where we were talking about this book called Your Mind, the Magician. We went into part 2 of this deep dive we did into this book called Your Mind, the Magician. Now, some of you are like, I didn't even know there was a Wednesday call. What you want to do if you didn't know there was a Wednesday call is you want to join us on more of the platforms. Make sure you plug into the Instagram, which is Mr. Haziq Ali. Make sure you plug in to the text message system, which is Dear Millionaire. You get text messages, videos, all kinds of posts you can put up on social media, dope quotes and everything. And you can get all of that by texting at MillMind to 81010. And then also make sure you join the Facebook group. That'll keep you plugged in with everything we do. Sorry for the technical difficulties this morning. So let's get right into it. This morning, we're talking about listening. I woke up to a text message from a mentee of mine. We had this conversation when we were down in Miami. And she was just breaking down how she feels like everybody be kind of like hating on her. Yeah, what's up, princess? Glad you made it in this morning. She feels like everybody be hating on her. You know what I'm saying, Kimberly? You know what I'm saying, young Coco? And I was just like, well, yo, you know what I mean? That can happen. That can happen. But let's talk about it more. She was like, yo, on top of that, I got a family member, a daughter of mine, I just now had to put in a mental facility. She will not listen. It's like I do everything for my kids. I've set up LLCs for them. I've set up all kinds of positioning so that they can do better in life than what I was given. I go everywhere with my kids. We do this, we do that. I don't understand why she won't listen to me. And I said, well, are you open to some coaching? Because that's what you always got to start it off with before you even get into it. I was like, yo, do you understand that what we really crave as children is to be seen, is to be heard, is to be connected with? Maybe you aren't connecting with them strong enough. Had another incident where we were talking about how one of the ladies who, because for those of you who don't know, when we were in Miami, we had one side, it was just for the men, one side, it was just for the women. And one of the ladies was lamenting because she's trying to transform her life right now. You know what I'm saying, Taisha? And she's going through this thing where she's like, yo, my child is calling me fake because, you know, he sees I'm trying to become a better person and all of that, but it's not resonating with him. He's like, oh, you being fake. And now he just won't speak to her. He just won't communicate with her. And once again here, listening came into play. And what I humbly suggested is that she get a little bit more surgical with her apology, that she get in there and not just say, I apologize, and hope she can throw a blanket over all of the wild things that she did while she was finding herself. And she was a younger mother, a younger woman, et cetera, so forth. You know, we all are in a place where we don't know what we don't know. Our awareness has to grow before we can change our actions. You can't beat yourself up for that. But here's what you can do. You can listen to the person that was hurt by your previous actions, by the previous form of yourself, by the previous level of evolution you had. You can listen and then seek to understand where they're coming from. See, listen, y'all, same way the highest form of faith is preparation. Check this out, y'all. The highest level of understanding is called love. You got me? Somebody give me that in the comments. Love is the highest form of understanding. Love is the highest form of understanding. And if you're really going to love somebody, y'all, if you're really going to create better personal relationships, if you're really going to create better business relationships, and who doesn't want to do that, right? All of your pain and all of your pleasure is mostly going to come from your personal relationships. And if you really want wealth, then what you really want is strong relationships. So somebody give it to me. Love is the highest form of understanding. That's exactly right. Love is the highest form of understanding. Try and think about that today. Love is the highest form of understanding. You see what I'm saying? And one of the superpowers you have available to you is exactly what I was telling, when I was trying my best to give what God was giving me. When I heard the issue she was going through, I said, you got to listen, and then you got to get in there and apologize in a more surgical way. You can't just throw a blanket over everything that happened. You got to dive in that thing and be like, yo, I was really thinking about what happened when you were 15. And I just want to say that really, really hurt me. That really hurts me to think about it. I can't believe that you were strong enough to make it through that. I'm so proud of you. And I just want to apologize from the bottom of my heart. All of a sudden, they're going to understand where you're coming from. All of a sudden, they're going to understand where you're coming from. That's exactly right. Unconditional love is the highest form of understanding. Unconditional love. That's right. Because you've often heard somebody say, to love me is to know me. There's this story about the Klansman that I brought up, this movie called Black Klansman. And it's based on a true story about this guy that went in and almost destroyed the Klan, not with fighting fire with fire, but with love. He would go in there, he would connect to these ignorant, older Caucasian gentlemen. And before they know it, they found themselves saying, everything I've been taught about Negroes is completely wrong. And then they end up leaving the Klan. Like, why am I in this? But you know what happens? It happens from connecting. And this is the thing about listening, y'all. Listening connects us to other people. Listening is what helps us build relationships. When we're emotionally and relationally connected to other people, stress levels in the brain start to diminish. Relationships change brain chemistry. Do you hear what I'm saying to you? I just now gave them a whole study this weekend talking about what the family does for us and then what the family does for society. But they discovered that when you have family, you live longer, you got a stronger immune system. They discovered when you have family, you have stronger self-esteem, you have stronger self-image. They broke down how when you have family, you're more emotionally stable. And millionaires, what we're doing as entrepreneurs is asking ourselves, how can we bring some of this stuff over to the world of business? Because in our businesses, if we're able to create these kinds of bonds, if we're able to listen with empathy, then now we've got the ability to imagine other people's experiences. How valuable is that when you're talking about a customer? How many new products and services and how many new ways to serve your customer are you going to get if you can really empathize with your customer? This is where we get the phrase empathetic understanding. This is our capacity to understand somebody else's thoughts, somebody else's feelings, and somebody else's struggles. And as leaders, that's what we need. Somebody give it to me. Empathetic understanding. Empathetic understanding. As leaders, there's no doubt we're willing to listen empathetically, but how do we make sure we're doing so effectively? So what I got for you this morning is what they call active empathetic listening. Active empathetic listening. This comes from a guy named Carl Rogers, if you care. He's somebody who was training people in this practice right here. And what they discovered is that if you can begin to use what they call active empathetic listening, then you're going to start having more satisfaction with your job or with your business. You're going to experience higher overall well-being. And I'm going to break it down to you in 3 steps. So let's hurry up because we're running out of time. The first step, y'all, is sensing. So when you sit down with that person, I don't care if it's your child, I don't care if it's your coworker, I don't care if it's your management, I don't care if it's a teammate, I don't care if it's a customer. The first step is sensing. This means you're being completely attentive. This means you aren't scrolling. This means you aren't, you aren't still reading the magazine that you were looking at. This means you aren't still watching TV. We had this joke with the fellas where we talking about sometimes we cut the sound off, but we leave a closed caption on while our girl is talking to us or whatever, or while whoever's on the phone, girl, boy, son, brother. You get what I mean? Well, not if we're practicing AEL, not if we're looking for empathetic understanding. What we're going to do with the first step is we're going to sense. right? This means that we're completely attentive. We're completely involved in the moment. We're fully present with our heart. We're fully present with our mind, with our body. We're positioning ourselves to show the other person that we're sensitive to what they're saying. You listen to what's being said and you listen to what's being left unsaid. You with me? Here's some things you can do. Here's some tactics you can use. You can move away from your desk and you can sit with the person in a more approachable setting. Like in my office, if somebody comes in, I might come from around the desk for especially important conversations, and I might sit there in the chair with them so that they understand they have my full attention. Another thing you can do is you can put away your phone. Some of us need to take the habit of laying our phone face down more so that every ding and notification doesn't distract us from the person that we're supposed to be bonding with and that we're supposed to be building with, right? Third thing you can do is ask people to put your calls on hold. If you happen to be in a position like me, where sometimes you're getting calls there, in the office, et cetera, so forth, maybe you tell your administrative assistant or you tell whoever, hey, look, hold my calls for a minute, hold interruptions, push this back. I'm in a very important kind of zone right now. But the bottom line is what you're doing is you're giving the other person your undivided attention. You with me? So that's the first step to this thing. You're sensing. Here's the second step. You're processing. So first step is sensing. Second step is processing. This is your attempt. This is very important, millionaire. This is your attempt to reassure the other person that you are, in fact, listening deeply. You might share direct assurances. You might be very articulate with what exactly you're doing. And you may even repeat back stuff so that you'll remember what the person is saying. See, here's what we miss a lot, especially us men. A lot of times somebody will come to us with something. It could be someone that we're in charge of. It could be a personal relationship. It could be anything. And what we want to do is solve it immediately. A lot of times that's not what's needed. A lot of times a person is organizing their thoughts by saying them out loud. A lot of times what we don't recognize, I was talking about this weekend, is that the reason that the most diabolical punishment when you're talking about being in prison is what they call solitary confinement, is because people go crazy when they have no one to talk to. The reason that the big dogs and now it's starting to become more common spread, but the wealthy have always used this technique called going to therapy, because now you're paying somebody who's just listening to you talk. A lot of times you organize your thoughts by talking them out, especially ladies, especially the female persuasion. They tend to organize their thoughts by speaking out loud. So what you're doing is, instead of trying to jump in and reply, jump in and respond, jump in and fix something, what you want to do is process, right? You can accomplish this by doing all kinds of things. You can say, I want to make sure I understand you fully, right? Or you can say something like, or you can do something like write down notes to show them they're noteworthy, right? To show them you're present, that you're working to remember their message, right? A third thing you can do, you can check for meaning by saying, tell me more about what you mean when you said, now they're feeling like you're engaged, because you are. You got me? Another thing you can do is acknowledge and then speak out loud the points of agreement and the points of disagreement between you and the other person. I see 3 areas where we seem to agree, right? And 1 area in which we have a disagreement. What do you think? Right? Right? Am I making sense? That's exactly right. You want to listen to understand instead of listening to respond. See, this is what I tell them. And you may want to write this down. This is like one of those Hazik-isms that's sort of like not just a double entendre. This is a triple entendre, y'all. Yeah, Eli. Yeah. Check it out, y'all. Check it out, y'all. Write this down in your notes. Leaders need to understand. Followers need to be understood. You hear what I'm saying to you? Leaders need to understand. Followers need to be understood. At the point that you really understand the person and what they're sharing to you, you're now a leader. At the point you're begging to be understood first, you're silently begging to be led. I'll get more into that in a minute, but I want you to understand that your role as an entrepreneur is to be a leader. Your role as someone who sees clearly that this relationship could be in a better place is to be a leader. In this moment, I'm not talking about gender roles. I'm talking about humanity. I'm talking about how to become a better human. And the way that we solve society's problems is we all become better leaders. Every problem in society is a problem of leadership. That brings us to the third step, y'all, which is responding. The third step is responding. Y'all hear me? Here's where you use your communication skills to acknowledge the other person's ideas. You hear me? So responding is where you do different things like you nod. Responding is where you do different things like lean in. What this is doing is you're demonstrating understanding. Here are some things you can do to respond. Okay, one, you can ask direct questions to probe and check for understanding. So tell me more about what this means from your perspective. And never forget, questions build rapport. Never forget, rapport is 80% of the sale. Rapport is 80% of the communication. This is why a lot of times, even when we're having a business meeting, we start off with small talk. You got me? Because what we're looking for is that rapport. With rapport, anything is possible. Without rapport, everything is more difficult. So ask questions because questions build rapport. They not just create understanding, which is a gift for you, it creates rapport, which is a gift for you both. Something else you can do when you're responding, you can restate what the other person has said. Like you might say, if I heard you correctly, you're having a difficult time at work. You feel lost about your role and you need clearer expectations. I can understand how this would be challenging. I think I can help. You get what I'm saying to you? You're restating what they just now said, but in different words. This is an art, y'all. This requires attention over talent. This requires spirit over ego. This requires you putting somebody else over yourself. You got me? And it transforms relationships. Listening with empathy improves any relationship you can have, from a professional association to some kind of close family connection. They were doing this project on communication and happiness. And they were just kind of talking about how for years they tried to let the past be the past. They thought they'd forgiven the person, but then they realized that they hadn't, right? They realized that they were still angry and bitter, that they couldn't let go. They couldn't say, okay, I forgive you. They weren't able to really listen to what the other person was saying because they were always on the other end thinking, well, this is what you did to me, right? But then he made an intentional shift, right? He changed his mindset as a listener. He tried to see, he tried to hear, he tried to feel the experience. And then he told the person, okay, I'm going to let you tell me. I'm going to take my opinions and my preconceived ideas about what I think you think, and I'm just going to listen. And as he listened, so did his family member. Now, the family member was finally able to share their honest feelings, and not in a way to hurt, but just saying, this is how I truly feel. That's where the magic happened. All of a sudden, he was able to say, oh, I get it. Millionaires, there is nothing more powerful. He felt that this was the first time that she ever really heard, right? He felt this was the first time that he was ever able really to see her and feel her. The relationship has changed and evolved drastically. He was like, he don't feel the anger no more. He don't feel the bitterness. And he was just talking about how good it feels and not have to carry that weight around on his shoulders anymore. See, this is the thing. When people listen to each other more deeply, they become more connected. They transcend perceived differences. Real communication occurs when we listen with understanding on a deep level. Y'all got me? Was that helpful? Yeah, that's exactly right. As a matter of fact, Miss Nixon, you'll find that the higher somebody is in terms of wealth, the higher they go up the totem pole, what you'll discover is the more advisors they have. I talked about this on a training not too long ago. When you're poor, you might go to some car lot by yourself and just pick a car out. When you're wealthy and you start getting money and you buy like a little pony, maybe you come out there with one other person. But when you're wealthy and you're going to buy a horse, you go out there with a whole team. One person's checking the hooves of the animal, another one's checking the stool where they move their bowels and they're checking through that. Another one's checking their diet. Another one's checking the hair and I don't know if they call it the mane or whatever it is on the horse. You get what I'm saying? The higher you move up the totem pole, the more you want advice from everybody else. The more you're looking to listen to everybody else. Good leaders love advisors who tell them the truth. It's such a good point. I hope this was useful to you. I hope you learned something. Yeah, Hakeem. I don't know which FBI book you read, but put it in the comments, bro, for all of us. I bet you're talking about Split the Difference. I bet you're talking about Chris Voss. But let us know who you talking about, Hakeem. All right, y'all. Scale of 1 to 10. Scale of 1 to 10. How did you like this? If you give it a 10, then that means you're gonna use something. I want to encourage you to put in the comments the piece you're gonna use, because there's a way to learn this stuff fast. FAST. The F is join a Facebook group. The A is pick an accountability partner. The S is subscribe. And the T is leave your takeaways in the comments. The T is teach somebody else something that you learn. FAST. If you want to subscribe and turn on your notifications, all you do is, no, that's on this side. If you're watching on YouTube, the bell is somewhere around there. If you're watching on Facebook, same thing. Turn on your notifications so that whenever we go live, you are here with us. All right, it's affirmation time. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, that's what I thought, bro. Chris Voss, Split the Difference. That's exactly what I just said. Right on. All right, y'all. It's affirmation time. Let's get it. Let's get it. Repeat after me. Say it like you mean it. I am so happy and grateful